Which one? Oh, it's close. Yeah, that's what I go. Sometimes I go home and think. Oh, it was. I used to go on track. I came in. I came in way
Great. Okay.
I guess
I was just seeing whether you back up changes. It made it to look at. It is. I just put it on the table right there. Yes. Okay. Okay, we'll add this. So now 180 want to take like this and this and combine them into one pot, like the students at the end, we can, I'll figure that more than 800 students. And enrolled in dual credit, is that possible?
We all have to switch goal. The windshield. Oh, I got that.
Oh, yeah. Did you look at mine?
Not yet.
I need help with that.
Well, my one Sheldon is not gonna let me move it. Because it says positive learning and work environment. Like, I was gonna put 18, but I was gonna put yeah. I'm going to say
I brought it. Oh, it's fine.
So I was just trying to finish it.
we just have to email it.
I know.
Yeah, we just got to do it.
Perfect.
They got hired on this for and then
Hey, my friend.
Why do I keep
and I heard
It says there's an open. Well, just there's some.
and after let's take it out.
For the very
I'll send that invite.
Yes.
It stays. Hello.
Okay, good evening all. We're going to call this meeting to order, Sheldon ISD Board of Trustees at 6:38. With prayer. Thank you, Father God, for bringing us here this evening to allow us to conduct the business of the school district. Thank you for all the staff, community that is here this evening. Allow us to receive the information and that they're presenting this evening. Help us make wise decisions that benefit all of our stakeholders, students, staff, community members. Thank you as we continue our business and conduct our business, Father God, that you get us home safely. Father God, watch over us as we travel, grant us traveling grace. In your most precious name we pray.
Amen.
Okay, let's record show all board members present with the exception of Ms. Angela Cormier and DeVore Miles. And we'll go into reports and discussions.
Good evening, Mr. President and Board of Trustees. We do have a few reports and discussion items. We'll start with our bond and facilities update with Mr. Webster, and I believe Dr. Saeed also will be sharing some information as well.
Okay, just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about things that we have going on right now. First, thank you to everybody who came out to the ribbon cutting at Craven. Very excited. And our next ribbon cutting will be at Knoll Middle School. So we're very excited about that one also. So right now we're working through our punch lists for Craven, Sheldon Early Childhood, Knoll Middle School, our fencing, our roofing, our marquees, and our interactive TVs. So for instance, there's some flooring items at Sheldon Early Childhood that the flooring didn't adhere very well. And so Nash is coming back out to fix that. We know at fencing, we have some areas where we're installing just some person gates for people to walk through. And then we're looking again at the front of Royalwood Elementary to make sure that that is able to be secured. So that's another area that we're looking at. Our interactive TVs, we know we have, we need to do a job order contract through the district to make sure that some of the areas where there's some, where the projector screens were taken down, that we're repairing those areas. We're also, tonight there's an action item, Hurricane Beryl, the carpet replacement for Knoll Middle School, that was done during the hurricane. So that is one that is brought back retroactively through our board policy. That replaced carpet in the B house, in the main level. It replaced it in the lower level, both common areas, the theater arts room, and then the choir room. So some large areas. And what we found out is that carpet was a little bit difficult to get. We were not the only district that was in that situation. So we worked on that, and that's been completed now. The 9th and 10th grade campus will have our groundbreaking September 24th. We have a construction materials testing for new campus. I think that action item is on there tonight. If it's not, that's coming on the 18th. And then our Holy Trinity renovation, we've met with GPD architects so that we can start moving forward with developing a contract that we could bring to the board for an architect of record. We are looking at our water and wastewater facilities at that location. There is a well that produces 3 million gallons of water a year. We're allowed to draw from that well. After that, you have to pay a fee, which we know from a high school. But the wastewater facility at that location is currently locked up, and it is not usable. So when there were students there, there was not enough solid material to go through the wastewater to keep it running. And so looking at our purpose and the number of people that we would have at that location, it's not probable that we would be able to use that wastewater facility. So we may have to go to the mud and do that because we would not have enough flow to be able to keep that going the way that that system is built. And then we are talking with Maldonado. There needs to be some landscaping done at that 30 acres. So that is also there. We're also looking at what are we doing inside the building, and then we need to add some parking if that is going to be a office/staff development center. Also in the near future, you're going to see bushes that will go in front of the fences. That will be an action item that we're bringing so that we can soften that look along the bottom of the fences across the district, if that's something that the board wants us to continue to do. Okay. And that is about $70,000 for across the district. There would be, Dr. Say, do you remember the plants? There's 2 different kinds of plants. And so
Hardy.
dwarf yaupons, and then there's more of a grassy type plant, yes. Carroll Elementary, we will be coming back to the board. We're getting another bid for the vinyl wall covering. What we're finding is the wall covering, it's like a wallpaper that went up. It is torn, it is ripped up throughout the building. But the biggest thing is that we're gonna have to tear everything off and then bring that up to a level 4 or 5 finish before we can put on the new wallpaper. And that is a cost, there is an investment. I would say that there is an investment there. But if we're gonna make that investment, we're looking at a material that will last longer, and will not look like it is worn after 4 or 5 years. Be coming back with a bus purchase item in the near future, and then the big item that Dr. Saeed's going to talk with you tonight is about Garrett and its HVAC control. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Saeed. Okay.
If you allow me just 2 minutes to kind of give a little bit of history about Garrett Elementary. It was built in 2011 with the idea of a building that was going to be very energy efficient and well designed, where long-term costs would be very low. So we use the geothermal energy to completely power the school. As a matter of fact, there are nearly 168 to 300 wells bored into the parking lot, about 300 feet deep, and it takes the water out of there, keeps it cool underground, and brings it out to run the geothermal HVAC system. But over the years, there have been some leaks, but those leaks are so minute that they were not detected initially. And it has gone for nearly 4 or 5 years now that we don't have any control over the building. So building is just running on its own. There is no control that would say, okay, set the temperature at this, 72 to 68, and then it would continue to function there. So obviously, maintenance was, they did their thing. They installed thermostats at different locations to kind of address the problem, or just kind of have a control over the building. That did not solve the long-term issue, and for the last 4 or 5 years, the ground underneath has saturated so much with hot water because the water is not coming up cold. The idea was that it would come up cold, generate the HVAC system, and then the hot water go back in to get cold, which has caused this summer, because obviously we had some hot days, to completely, I shouldn't say 100%, but nearly 60 to 70% HVAC was down over the days. So we had to mitigate those concerns with either portable units or, as a matter of fact, our team was, and it didn't happen last year or this year, it happened a few years ago, that they manufactured their own pumping system to kind of inject new cold water to supplement for the water that was supposed to be cold underground. So they're doing that twice a day to keep the building a little bit cooler than what the geothermal unit has the capacity to do at this time. So we've spoken to, I want to go back and just point out one more thing. When the school was built and this geothermal system was sold to Sheldon ISD, a month after that, the engineers or the firm that came up with the plan, they sold the company to somebody else. So we never had a capacity of holding somebody responsible. That now, it's been just going on as people see, and plus we didn't have expertise to know that particular system. Everybody knows how, chillers work or coolers work, or there are more people with that kind of talent, but not so much for a geothermal. So we've been talking to consultants, engineers. I've also reached out to LAN and spoken to an engineering firm, EMA. They have come out and visited the site. And then we've also spoken with Texas Air. They have also looked at the site. They have an expert out of their Dallas office is coming to see us again tomorrow to give us more second or third opinion about this. When I shared this information with Mr. Webster and Dr. McCall, I kind of gave them what a ballpark would look if we were to go look at one or two options. One option is we search the leak and go back and fix the system and run it. In the long run, Texas Air feels that that will be less expensive, but we can see the same issues 4 or 5 years from now because Texas or Houston temperatures are not going to change. The weather is not going to change. It may get hotter. The other option is that we bite the bullet now and do away with the geothermal completely and use a air cooling system or an air chilling system, chilling tower. Both of those options are very expensive up front. Even the one that is the cheaper is nearly $500,000. It includes both installation and men and their labor and the materials they're going to use. The chiller option, which is nearly $1 million, a little over $1 million, would be something that EMA has done for Dallas ISD and several of their schools. But that option would take us all the way to next summer because it is a longer procedure or system that will take a lot of time. The water cooler option or tower option can be done by December. The weather is getting a little better right now. I've also asked to see, are there any temporary fixes that we can do now to kind of mitigate the heat issues that they're having? So there are both of those options can be done on a monthly basis, temporarily, on a rental basis. So if we were to go in a chiller option, that will be $55,000 a month for the first month and $18,000 after that. If we go with the water tower option, that will be $40,000, but it would not solve the water well issues, meaning as soon as you take it off, water will get hot again. But if we use the chiller option, although it's costing us a little bit more, but it will give us time to find the leak, fix it, and continue on. The expenses, operational expenses, would not be as severe because we won't be installing a brand new HVAC system and doing away with that. That's what the experts from Dallas are telling. I just wanted to present all 4 options and kind of see what feedback we have.
So thank you, Dr. Saeed. School board, the reason I asked Dr. Saeed to share this information is because we know that something is going to have to be done at Garrett Elementary. And so we do not have a particular action item for you this evening, but we're getting your feedback so that we know what direction and what options we need to bring back to the board. As Dr. Saeed shared, we believe that the heat of the summer is pretty much done. We're getting to a little bit cooler temperatures, but we certainly want you to know that, his department, kudos to the departments that he supports. They made sure we had portable ACs over there, keep the students comfortable, staff comfortable, just as quickly as possible because we know that it was, over 100 degrees some days, but we know that's temporary.
system, so are these, the folks out of Dallas, well, is the lead certification still a thing anymore? Because that's, so when we built the campus, that they sold us on that whole geothermal thing. It was a lead certification from the architect that said this, all this was how it's gonna work. How effective was it up until we discovered that we had leaks?
Won't be able to answer that. I think that happened 4 or 5 years ago. It didn't happen right away.
But I mean, when we
Yeah.
first built the campus and we're utilizing the geothermal, how effective it was maintaining, it was working the way it should,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So theoretically, if we fix the leaks, then it will last for an
Another-
unknown amount of
Well,
time.
Can let Dr. say, can you talk to him though about how long it would take for the ground to cool
Yes.
so that the system would operate effectively? Because I think that's,
But if it was already working, if we knew it worked 2 years after this campus was built, and we know the system does work,
It does.
then, I mean, so if you were to turn around and say, no, it was really never efficient, never
No.
cooled the campus down, then that's information we need to know to
No.
determine, well, you know what, it's not even worth fixing.
No, sir. It did work.
It did work.
but we'd
And
have
if
to
we
add.
have it fixed, it will work. One of the companies, Texas Air, their expert is coming tomorrow to visit the
Okay.
site again.
Mhm.
They are sharing that this will be the least expensive option. If we, instead of doing away with the geothermal, we go find the leak, fix it. However, how long it's gonna take,
Yeah,
it's their guess.
yeah.
Their educated guess is if the water started to get hotter rather recently, then it may take a month or two to chill that
Stabilize
water.
and then-
Yes. But it has been happening for over years. It will be 3 months, 4 months. It can take anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. But they will be able to tell us how long that process will be after looking at it tomorrow. But they are saying that that's the least expensive option, and they will get the geothermal system working again. My only concern with that is what happens 4 or 5 years from now. If there is another leak or something else happens and that we are back in that situation.
Would we still need to look at a rooftop unit?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So for the front office area, the ceilings are so tall and high, and the windows are right there, and sun stays right at the front desk, that it was not, that area does not have enough cold air circulating. So we have to have a split unit, regardless of what direction we go with this. Right now, I have 3 portable units just to keep them okay, not good. Okay.
Yeah.
But if we wind up going the chiller route,
Mm.
I mean, we would size the chiller accordingly to be
Yes.
able to cool the entire square foot
Yes.
area.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that, and
Like you said, either route we go, we would have to do a split unit, but if we went with a chiller,
It was the most expensive option, so I was,
yeah, but we just have to look at the front office separately. The CFMs in that area just do not seem to be
they're not
enough.
flowing.
And when I looked at the
yeah.
size of the vents at Garrett compared to the size of the vents at Carroll,
Because
they're
identical.
smaller and they should be the same.
The only challenge with that, if we were to look at the water chiller option, is that it's gonna take a year.
Yeah.
So what happened, I mean, by February, March, this heat is gonna be back.
But Garrett, on all those windows, we can just put some foil on there.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, maybe not.
Okay.
Like him.
But you don't have an idea of cost, whether, while they're coming out tomorrow to look at it, even remotely, what repairing the geothermal system would run.
No, they're giving us a rental time, which is for a chiller option, which would allow them to fix it, would be $55,000 a month. The following month will be 18,000 until they find it and fix it. But
Yeah, we're looking at $150,000 just for that.
yes,
By the time they find it, fix it, get us back in line,
yes, sir.
and then for it to be able to cool down
Yeah.
and run efficiently. That's.
It will cool it down right away, but it won't fix what has already happened, what has already.
No, but I'm saying if you
Yes.
fix the geothermal,
Yes, sir.
and then for time for it to become efficient
It may
with the
take some
ground,
time.
it's.
How long is the whole process if you do it with the chiller? How long is the whole process?
So it depends on how long the ground has been saturating with heat. So if, however long, say for example, it's been going on for several years, then that process may take longer. If this is the only summer, and I'm pretty sure last year it was like that too. Not this
Yeah.
hot, but it was hotter than usual. So it will take them longer. It may take them 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. They're not
Set
sure.
up everything and get it running?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I want to, I didn't understand.
Yes.
I think you're saying though,
You're saying the chiller unit,
Yeah.
that would take a year,
It can.
installing a chiller.
That's what I
Oh.
mean, installing.
Install-
how long
that's
is
a
it gonna
different-
take to install and be ready to go?
That's a different company that is
Yeah.
not looking, fixing it.
Yes, correct.
EMA is coming out and saying, okay, you've given us two.
But just to put it, just do away with geothermal.
Yes.
To go to the chiller option, that's a year.
Yes, 1 full year, and they'll be done by next summer.
And so the holes that are drilled in the ground, they're under the parking lot.
Yes.
And so what is the leak? How is that affecting the soil underneath the parking lot? Are we in risk of?
So we haven't seen anything above the ground yet. Yes, we have not seen anything above the ground. One of the things that Texas here also suggested, whose expert is coming out tomorrow, that sometimes when you install new heat pumps, that air may get into the system and it gives the same symptoms as leaks. Nobody has seen a leak. The only reason they think that there's a leak because they have to inject water into the tubes to keep it, because it is extremely hot. The water is not getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they're saying that there may be just air that is causing it.
Some sort of vapor.
Yes.
so would we be able to update the board then at the workshop? I mean, at their meeting?
Well, we'll be able to update the board about tomorrow's
Yeah.
findings and also what EMA's final decision is.
Right. And this is the third
Yes,
group?
yes.
Okay.
So if we go another route with getting the chillers, and you're saying there's water underneath, if we go with doing away with it, what happens to the water, everything?
Water is not, it's in the pipes, so they'll just cut it off. They'll just shut it off. Like, just by looking at the surface, we don't see yet any extra moisture or water or puddles or anything.
I was curious because Dr. McCall said about maybe a sinkhole may happen or something like that. So that's why I'm trying to visualize and get an understanding.
If the leak would have been like huge, right now the leak is 10 gallons or so that they inject every week. So it's minute.
You'd have to have a lot of pressure.
Hundreds of gallons in, then that would be a greater issue.
But even as little as 10 gallons a week having to apply for that, I mean, that's such a small volume that having such a big effect on the cooling part. And that's why I asked about the efficiency. If it's only 10 gallons a week, that's nothing. That's a drip on your faucet.
Yeah, but we constantly have to have people there do the same procedure on a daily basis. And it's not effective.
And as it's coming out of the ground, I mean, it's got to be running through some sort of chiller anyway.
So the idea was that the water that was underground was already cold, that
Yeah.
it was coming out at 75, 76 degrees.
Mhm.
It's coming out at 85, 86 degrees.
Yeah.
Because the heat has already penetrated in the surrounding.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you have more information for the board meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's what they say tomorrow, so.
The conversation.
Yeah.
Lost, right?
Yeah.
That's all we have for facilities and bond right now. So any other questions regarding any projects or? Okay, and we have,
You said on the fencing at Royalwood, we're talking about the front or not? And I'm sorry, I
Yes.
apologize for that.
yes, so
Trying to
coming
interpret.
along Elderberry up to Royalwood to
Yep.
the corner.
Yep.
Okay, then turning to the south,
Yep.
going down across the other section of the car rider line to that peninsula and then coming back and to to where the building is or to where that fence is. We do want to leave some parking for individuals who want to use the Spark Park or, visitors to the building. And so we just have to look at how we can best meet the needs of the district and the community.
Yeah, because even putting the gates across the U-turn there, as the Spark Park access is open, you have access to the parking lot, just goes around that backside.
Yeah.
As you've always had.
Yeah, I just didn't think that we wanted to move the fence all the way up
Yeah.
and cut that visitor area off.
I think they're like 8 parking.
There's
Yeah.
and so then at night,
And it's handicap too.
yeah. if there's a day or something, then let's say, for instance, yesterday, that's a good example is people could still use the Spark Park and park in that little area. They're not out on the road.
Oh, okay. Park in that area and then.
Just walk. Yes, sir.
walk
Yeah.
back.
So I met with LAN today, and so we're going back over our architect drawings for that and seeing how can we do that and what the price is. Dr. Dearman and I actually spoke about it this afternoon because, she is the queen of grants. And so we're already moving forward on that.
I don't answer Dr. Dearman had it. Special treat. Special treat. A little extra share to get.
Anything else? No? Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
For accountability update, we'll have Ms. Gallo and Mr. Delanus.
Okay, so we're going to change gears. We're going to talk about state accountability. I want to be able to give you an update of exactly where we're at. So what I want you to know is that there is a new lawsuit against TEA. And so a judge in Travis County issued a temporary restraining order blocking TEA from releasing any official accountability results. And so that's really important for you to know because that not only affects the entire state, but obviously it affects us. We want to know where we're at. So we don't have that information for you. What's behind this lawsuit? What's behind this lawsuit is the idea that based on the law that we have on the books, it specifically states that TEA needs to be able to identify a third party to vet and to analyze the entire accountability system to ensure that it's accurate and it's fair and it's measuring what they say is measuring. Well, they haven't done that yet. And so that's what the lawsuit is about. Now, Sheldon ISD is not part of the lawsuit. And you may be saying to yourself, this sounds very familiar. It is familiar because this happened last year. So it happened in 2023 and it's happening now, 2024. So 2023, Sheldon ISD was part of the lawsuit. And the lawsuit really was about the fact that TA, you may remember, I presented to you, changed the rules of accountability midway. And so they were doing crazy things that, for example, CCMR, to get an A, a campus needed 60% of the students to be identified as being able to achieve a college career or military readiness point. They bumped that up all the way to 88 to be an A. That's a huge increase. And they shared that, middle of the year. So we didn't feel that that was fair. That lawsuit is still going through the system, so we don't have a resolution. So in short, we do not have your official accountability for 2023 or 2024. What do we have? Well, what we do have, the state has shared with us very specific data tables of how our students have performed on the state test. So what I'm going to share with you is where are we projecting our district to be back in 2023 as well as 2024. The numbers that I'm going to show you, what's really important for you to understand is that this is a projection and not an official score. Okay, that's really important. That's number one. Number two, the way that the state calculates the final letter grade for every district is really based on two components. The first one, 50% of it, CCMR, college, career, and military ready. Where are we at in that area? The second one is how are students performing academically on the STAR test, as indicated by the STAR test. And so I want to show you where we're at. So the first component, as you can see, we're backtracking it all the way to 2018. This is the percentage of students that were identified as college, career, or military ready. So as you can see, we're pretty happy with the way that graph looks. We've been able to increase that throughout the years, which is great for our accountability. The next chart that you see there, these are projections, right? So you see the very first column, obviously this is our district. 2023 final grade projection, we were projecting it to be a 70, which is a C. This year, with all of it, once we calculate and we begin to project all of our accounting, we believe that we'll be a 74, which will be middle of the C. So that's what we're projecting to be. That's what we think we're going to be. Once again, this will not become official until this lawsuit goes through the court system, and hopefully the state can finally release the 2023 and 2024 accountability ratings. Let me stop there and go ahead, sir.
The first hearing was scheduled for August the 26th, and then they pushed it to September the 12th, correct?
That is correct.
So we'll see if it actually happens then. Not a whole lot of faith that this lawsuit is going to be resolved because we're still waiting on a judgment from last year's lawsuit. But what we believe to be the case is you're going to continue to see these accountability projections or rating system be contested until there's a better understanding of what TEA is really using to measure student growth and achievement. So whatever side of the coin, that this happens to fall on, it's really holding up districts being able to know exactly where they stand and parents knowing where the districts stand because we're not able to release this information publicly.
Thank you, sir. Any questions about our accountability, where we're at, and how it works? Go ahead. I see you have a question.
I wanted to know what will we have to do as a district to move up a letter grade?
So glad you asked.
How much work will we have?
So that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Ms. Gallo has a whole presentation to address that.
I'm jumping in funky.
But you're going to get that question answered, man. You will. So thank you very much for that. This part that I want to share with you is that we were on the news for a good reason. Okay, I want to be in the news for a good reason. We were in the news for a good reason. Why? So there's the Kinder Institute. This is a very prestigious data research institute. It is housed at the Rice University, and they did a study. They simply compared the accountability across the nation, the accountability in the state of Texas, and they found that these districts, including ourselves, are severely underfunded. Well, we know that. We've always known that. But it's so nice to be in the news and other people being able to identify the fact that we work highly effectively with very little resources. And that is a testament to you, all of our board members. The way you support us and the ability that you allow us to lead our district has helped to achieve that. And obviously our superintendent, so thank you for that. You ready?
We'll throw that to the CFO.
Where's Mr. George? And obviously Mr. George.
That's another lawsuit.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Doyen. I can also say that one of the things that has brought about this most recent lawsuit, if you haven't heard about this in the news, is artificial intelligence is scoring the students' writing samples. And that started this past year. And so the number of kids who scored a 0 out of 10 points, drastically increased across the state. And so that's what brought about this most recent lawsuit. We started looking at this data last year, actually. We had our first benchmark come in from the TEA STAR results of 2023, and right away recognized that there was some work that we needed to do. So we began with the strategic plan. And so with Dr. McCall's guidance and the support of Region 4, we brought in a team to work with us. We brought in members of the community, students. Region 4 came and talked about this at a workshop. What you have in front of you is sort of an overview of our strategic plan, and it has some of the things that I'm going to share with you tonight in it. So we can put this aside for now. This is yours to take home with you to review. We're actually going to publish it on our website and have it in Spanish as well. But one of the things we started to look at was some benchmark data. And when you look at this data on the screen, the first thing I want to point out to you is that this is the percentage of students at meets or masters, not passing. Okay, so I know these numbers might look low just at first sight, but this is not the passing rate. Of course, the passing rate would be much higher on STAR. This is for the students who are performing at the meets level or higher. And so coming to us from House Bill 3 and our federal report card, Region 4 helped us to look at 3 areas that kind of give us a snapshot of our district across the board. Where are our 3rd graders, where are our 8th graders, and where are our graduates with CCMR. And so what you can see is we used, because we did all this work last year, we used 2022-2023 as our baseline. That's the first year, what we call STAR 2.0. All the trickiness that the kids had to know, to be able to type at 3rd grade, to be able to drag and drop, and all those things we shared with you, right? What would have been 3 points is worth 1 point, like, with the basketball analogy. And so what we did was we said, okay, in order for us, according to the federal report card, to get to what would kind of be an A status, if you want, at the meets or level or higher, how do we want to get there in a 5-year period? How can we grow each year? And so what we noticed looking at this 2022-2023 baseline and then looking at where we actually performed while we were doing the strategic planning work, we noticed that we set our first goal at 37, but we met it this past year. That was for reading at 3rd grade. We put a lot of resources into reading. Again, down here for 8th grade in reading, we set a goal of 36 for next year. This year we're in right now, but we actually surpassed it at 38% this past year. With CCMR, we've been holding it at a 60, which was an A for years. We recognized OMG, it went up to 88%, and the graduates are already gone. How are we supposed to do that, right? But we set a goal for 24-25 at 72%, but got busy really, really fast and got to 79% at the end of 2024. So we're heading in the right direction with the exception of 2 areas, if you notice, and it's math. When you look at 3rd grade math, we've actually regressed. And when you look at 8th grade math, 7th grade in particular is the area where we really struggle. And so last year we already started working on it. We totally revised the core curriculum, not just for math, but for all areas. If you noticed, over the summer, you all approved a lot of money in instructional resources to help us upgrade our instructional resources to keep up with the rigor of STAR 2.0. We're actually implementing a new math program this year from K through 8 so that it's vertically aligned, and 7th grade doesn't begin to be that year where we start to see that huge decline in math. So the teachers are going through a lot of professional learning right now, learning to use this math, teaching kids how to think conceptually, not just solve the problem, because STAR 2.0 requires a lot more than just a simple solution. You can see here that we'll probably hit our CCMR goal of 88% way before we initially projected when we started doing this work. So this chart is, yeah, okay, celebrate. So this chart is going to change because we've already met one of our goals, so we're going to bump it up. We're not going to rest there. We're not going to sit there. We're going to continue to increase because we want to reach our goals a lot sooner. I'm going to move to, so how are we doing it, okay? I started with talking about revamping the curriculum. We actually worked with ASCD Texas, and they came in and helped us redo our entire curriculum and actually reviewed it. So just like the state needed a third-party review, we had a third-party review of all the work that we did. Our curriculum coordinators were actually able to do in a year, which was 23, 24, what it might take some districts 2 or 3 years to do with the number of personnel that we have. So they spent a lot of nights and weekends putting the new curriculum together. And then we needed a curriculum management plan. One of the things that we went back and looked at is we've had turnover in the curriculum department. And then when you hire somebody from another district, they might come in and they bring in a piece that they used when they were in XYZ district, but it doesn't really fit with what we consider to be a good curriculum for our district. And so what we noticed was the documents might look a little bit different, and we needed some consistency. And so the curriculum management plan is a guide for anyone in our curriculum department to follow through this strategic plan. The literacy outreach and the green box there, you guys, thank you so much for voting to bring back Literacy Now. They're actually assessing students in the earlier grades for reading right now. And they'll start working with our young folks at 3 elementary campuses, Monaghan, Carroll, and Lake next week. Instructional framework and high quality materials. I mentioned that because you all voted to help us get those new materials, and we really appreciate it. But the instructional framework, from campus to campus, there really shouldn't be a variance in what is excellent instruction. We should be able to walk in and say, yes, it's excellent. No, it's not. What do we need to do to help this teacher? But we did have some variance, and so we used the research-based information that TEA just came out with last year, research-based instructional strategies for reading and math, and then we added to that some other research from like John Hattie and some others out there to bring like a full picture of, no matter if you walk into a CTE class, a kindergarten class, or an 8th grade class, what are our expectations? Data and performance management. So this is super important. One of the big things we need to be able to do with STAR 2.0 is measure student growth. It's not enough to say this percentage of the kids met the standard as approaches, meets, or masters. STAR 2.0 gauges growth on how much did this student grow from this year to the next year. That's what determines if you get a point for that student. We need new data tools to be able to get that information at a moment's notice instead of turning over spreadsheet after spreadsheet to try to figure it out, right? So we've already looked into that, and we've been able to purchase Aware Premium, which is one of ours. We're adding on to OnData, that we're getting that as well, so that we will be able to have that data not only at our fingertips, but at the principal's fingertips. CCMR, we know we need to optimize schedules so that kids can be where they need to be. With 26 programs of study, 800 kids in dual credit, it's a whole lot of scheduling going on to make sure that kids can still be in band and can still be in art and drill team. And so we've had to invest more into scheduling because manually scheduling is really difficult, and there are programs out there to help with that, especially when you've got shuttling going back between the high school and the college and the high school and the 9th grade campus. And then job embedded professional learning. We know that we need to do the PD during the day when teachers are at work sometimes. And that means whether we go into the class with an expert, whether we pull them out for what we call power-ups, where we front load them with the lesson. That's really important because we're instituting a whole new math program. And so we want to pull them out of the classroom, meet with them for a day, front load them on what might be some of the kids' trouble points, pain points, misconceptions. How are we going to teach this to the best of our ability? And how are you, teacher, what questions do you have, teacher, about implementing this new curriculum? So we can hammer that out, and they can go into the classroom and be most effective. That's under priority. Hold on. This is going the wrong way. Okay. Well, I think I've gone through the whole program. Can you go back to, pretend like y'all didn't see any of that, okay? I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. Go back to priority 2. Priority 2. One more. There, stop there. Okay. So I just went over priority 1, which you'll find in the strategic plan, which is academic excellence. That's our focus for the year. Priority 2, family engagement, community outreach. So all of us at the table here have a part in this. Ms. Conklin has been working. She's already started trying to help principals get PTOs back up and running again. Communication with families, she's already started some training with our principals and teachers on that. Mr. Duenas is working with counselors on student and staff wellness. And so any of these areas that you want more information about, like what specifically is happening within those strategies, we'll be glad to come and talk to you about at a different time. We can get the people who are leading those to come back and share with you. And then Mr. Webster looking at student behavior. We need students in the classroom, not out of school suspension or in school suspension, so that they can learn. If you'll go to the third one. Talent management is Dr. Dearman's wheelhouse, okay? She's leading that with the strategic plan. So human resources procedures. We've had lots of turnover over the years in human resources. And so getting those procedures intact helps us to move forward and be more proficient and efficient when we onboard people, which is the next one, onboarding and professional learning for new employees. We have more and more teachers who've never taught before. This is their first time in education, and onboarding and giving them the best first experiences is important. One of the things that her department has realized is you got to talk about educator ethics. You know, working in education is a lot different than in any other field. How you interact with families, how you interact with kids, how you interact with your colleagues. So we have to actually teach educator ethics. Recruitment and retention is important. One of our pain points as a district has been we've spent a lot of money training teachers and then they go off to another district. We've got to be able to retain the talent to continue to increase achievement. What you all have helped us with is the teacher salary, keeping us competitive. This past year, when Dr. Dearman asked people who were certified and new in our district to stand, that was a pleasurable moment for me.
14 out of 100.
We had very few people stand who had not been certified and more people to stand who were certified educators. That's really promising. Compensation is another thing. We're consistently looking at compensation. Thank you again. This is part of the strategic plan. You guys took care of our bus drivers. They came back, they're driving buses, and we can get kids to school on time. Let's go to the next one. Operational excellence is how we create systems. Continuity and alignment of resources goes back to turnover. Whenever somebody leaves or gets promoted, we don't want all that knowledge to be left behind, right? We want to be able to continue that. So we're putting systems in place for that. Of course, you know, you hear from Mr. Webster all the time. He's in charge of facility planning, construction, and we've got Dr. Saeed here. They work as a team on preventive maintenance and keeping everything efficient for us. And then we've got safety and security is another one of the things that we're focused on this year. We just started talking about fences. That's part of that. And then Mr. George was budget management, hearing today that we are one of the districts considered to be severely underfunded by the state. But you know what? We do our work and we don't miss it because I don't know what kind of magic he works, but between y'all and Mr. George, we feel like we're in good shape. Now, if the state would only release some of the, that's how many billions in the rainy day fund? Okay, Karen. The last one is One Sheldon, and that's community pride. There's a lot of community pride in this community, but we could do better in our branding, and Ms. Conklin has taken that on, and so she started with district branding and a marketing plan, and of course, we're looking at our district and school culture and building awareness amongst local businesses. So pretty soon, Dr. McCall will be delivering a KHS Panther helmet, and it's going to be at Longhorn Steakhouse on the Beltway. We are going to put Panther everywhere that we can because we are doing great things in this district, and we need to tout what's good. And we're going to catch up with where TEA is. You know, we know about kids and we know about numbers, and we are going to be an A district. Coming out of STAR 2.0 has been a little rough, but it did help us realize all the areas that we do need to improve, and we've been working on that. That's it from me. Do you have any questions moving into strategic plan? I know you've got a copy to take with you.
With the data, when you went back to priority one, with the data, is that a program that the kids use, or is it just for the staff to use? Is it one of those programs where every so often the kids have to log on and do the work so that they can calculate and then it's trickled down?
So yes and no. In iReady, which is our new math program, the kids can see their progress. They do have, like when they work in stations, they have independent times. So for example, they do a diagnostic and it puts them on the path. So if you miss multiplication facts, it'll catch you with that. The data that we were talking about in the performance management piece is we need to be able to see that at a campus, any campus, that there is a spot, a teacher, a classroom, a group of kids who may not be progressing, right? And so we need an overview, like a dashboard, to be able to look into that. So we've got two components that are already in the works that we're going to begin using this year to help us with that. And then we're working with Region 4 also on performance management, and they're helping us build a dashboard to triangulate three pieces of data: our professional development, and looking at our student performance and our classroom walks. Are we seeing the same thing in all three areas to know where we need to actually invest a lot of our time? And so we've already started with writing. We've been going to campuses looking at writing this year because we know the number of zeros that went up due to artificial intelligence grading means we have to change our game plan because it's not humans
The state
grading.
is gonna change that. We're in
Yeah.
litigation with that right now, but that doesn't.
Right. It doesn't mean they're going to change it, so we got to get used to computers grading kids' writing. And what does that mean to our students who are writing when there's not a human involved in saying, yeah, I know what that meant, or a period was missing here, but I still get the gist of the sentence, you know? It's a new world.
I'm sorry if I missed your answer, but with, collecting the data, how long do you plan on, how long is it gonna take for you to get like a steady answer or see the growth?
So we do district benchmark assessments every 9 weeks, and we have unit tests in between there, but that depends on the content. So English might have a unit test every 3 to 4 weeks. Math might have one every 3 to 5 weeks. So the unit tests are at different intervals, but the district curriculum assessments are once every 9 weeks. So we can take that data starting as soon as next week, week after, to start to be able to diagnose where gaps are still happening that we need to close really quickly.
What's your turnaround time though?
My turnaround time?
Meaning us as a whole. Like, once you find out that information from all the assessments that we do, is it, we gonna see something in a year change? Is it a 2
Oh,
year?
no, it's like a couple
Is
of
it
weeks.
instant? That's what I'm trying to find.
Oh, yeah. So
This is the district assessment. So like right now, my kids are taking a test for 4 weeks. We're 4 weeks in, they're taking their test for the middle of the semester. Right?
Right.
So then they get that grade back, like not even a week later, and they're already starting to work on what they missed. So when they take the unit test at the end of the semester, they can build off of what they missed. They already went over it, had tutorials, built all that up. So when they take that 9-week test, their grades should go up.
Right. So we're trying to do like a doctor with triage, right? As soon as we get the lab results, we need to turn around and get to the patient and figure out what we need to do to help make it better.
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, back to you, Mr. Booth. I think I was correct. This one, not the middle one. I know, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about Skyward. We do want to ask the board for their approval. There is an action item September the 17th. Skyward is the backbone of all of our student information system. It is where we keep all the grade books, graduation requirement, everything. Just ask me what data point, Skyward. So we have been using that for more than 10 years. There is an action item, like I said. So let me open up the floor, see if you have any questions about Skyward. Like it?
I worked it, I don't have no questions.
We're all looking at you. Do you have a question? You have a question? Okay, good. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is a slight calendar adjustment that we're requiring, asking you. There is an action item today. It's a very small change. It does not alter our instructional hours, which is pivotal. It is June 19th. It is already officially a national holiday. We as a district want to make sure that we respect that day. We want to make it a holiday as well. It will affect our summer school, but not that much. It's just one day. We'll add another day the following week to adjust for that holiday, but we just want to make sure that both students, teachers, and staff are able to celebrate and have that day off. So any questions about that? Okay.
We're picking up this week.
Okay, I'll stop.
All right. Well, as we went through our strategic plan, we want to share some information hot off the presses about the culmination of 13 years of hard work, which we know is graduation, one of the largest events for our community. There is a good problem that we're having to deal with as we've grown. We have more graduates, okay? So as we have more graduates, it's caused us to entertain some more conversations about where we hold our graduation. Just knowing that we are starting to outgrow some of the capacity of our stadium. So, with that being said, this year's projection is about 962 graduates, and that's probably going to grow. That 962 is a conservative figure right now. As we look at the actual amount of students who could likely graduate within a year with all the supports between KHS, ECHS, as well as CASE, we might be over 962. So with that, we have a projection of about 9,620 visitors who will come if we limit everyone to 10 tickets. So with that idea taking place, we start to think about how do we go to a venue that may accommodate greater our size as we grow, because as we grow, this group of students will be 962, but in the future, our groups of students will be over 1,000. And so as we start looking at the student groups being over 1,000 that will graduate, it really does start to exceed the capacity of our stadium as we begin to have 10 tickets. So we may have to go even fewer tickets if we were to maintain and continue staying within our own stadium. Any questions or concerns about that number growing? Next year's group is already projected to be well over 1,000. All right. So typically this is how much we spend as we get ready to hold our graduation ceremony. And it's $45,000 roughly for us to hold it. And that's because we do a lion's share of the work here in the district. We make sure to organize it, to plan for it, to do all the schematics, all the logistics. And many of the people who are hired, we hire them, we feed, we make sure to take care of the entire event. What that's allowed us to do is obviously to maintain some layer of control, but it's also caused us, as we've gone through this entire process, to limit the amount of tickets that students are able to get, and it is something that we discuss. Now, we realize that we have some students who might only use 2 of their tickets or 1 of their tickets, but we have many students who would ask for more than 10 tickets. So with that, we began looking at other venues that are used around the city of Houston that we could try to leverage, and with that, we started looking at NRG Stadium. The process of going to NRG Stadium is just because there are so many other high schools in the area that also hold their graduation at NRG Stadium. So when we started looking at the possible dates, the open dates that are readily available for us would be actually on a Sunday this year. It would be June 1st, 2025. We'd be able to move in at 1, and then we'd have our ceremony at 3 if we were able to host it there. And then from that point, what we'd end up doing is we would be able to have seating for about 1,300 on the floor, which seeks to kind of fill our capacity as our needs grow. But also on that field level, that lower level closest to the actual field holds about 10,000. Now, they don't open all the way to the side. We get half of it. We actually have a diagram to show you. We don't open it all the way up. They open it so it's still just a good view of it if you were to hold it there. The other side of it is you do get some amenities that are a part of the rental of the venue that you have access to. You have a Champions Club, you have where VIPs can go. Of course, you have people who will take care of all of the schematics and the logistics for us, which is a nice piece if we were to decide to go there, because that is one of the pros. We don't have to hire all the police officers, and we wouldn't have to worry so much about tickets. You can also open other sections up if you so need. And they will open other sections up. That does change the cost a little bit per area if we were to open other sections up. But the estimated cost is about $90,000. And our participants, our attendees would still have to pay for parking, of course, and it's currently about 23. Now, the total estimate's about 116. That's a total estimate. That's just really based on, there's some cost share pieces that take place between other school districts who are also using that venue at the same time. Some of those setups and the takedowns and tear down, bring up, when you have multiples going on at the same time, you don't have to pay for the bring ups and bring down pieces, some of the officers, some of the other things. So, questions? I see you have something you want to add. Any questions or thoughts about it?
Just on a Sunday.
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So NRG is going to not be able to be rented the May 26th through the 30th. Thank you. I do not know why they decided to do any type of facility work during that time, because that's the heart of graduation season. But we initially had graduation scheduled for May the 30th. And then they called us and said, well, the only date that we have available now is June 1st, because Klein ISD had already booked it for May the 31st for all of their high schools to do graduations back to back to back. And so your larger high schools in the area, for example, the three that we're close to, Atascocita High, Summer Creek High, and North Shore, they all go to NRG. And we have comparable graduating class numbers. And so what's happening is, even with last year, we were only able to give our families 8 tickets. And you all know that that's really, really challenging for our families, especially when they know that neighboring schools can bring 12, 13, 14, 15, however many people. So it's just something to consider. It is more expensive, not only for the district, but also for our families, that would have to pay, $23 per car to park. So that is something, that we have to, consider. But if we communicate that, now, then, our parents would be in the know, and could make some adjustments around that. So it's a give and take for sure. It's a give and take for sure.
Now, we do have a layout that we'd like to just make sure that you're aware of, just so you can see how the accommodation where the stage would be, that it is opening up half of NRG. Those who've been to a graduation there already have seen it's a very large venue, right? But as we continue to grow, it's just something to consider, to take into account. Any other questions?
Is this including I know we had said we'd probably bus the kids there and all that, is this including our employees that we would be paying also?
No, ma'am, that wouldn't be included in the rental.
We would bus the students there for sure, because we wouldn't want them fighting through that traffic. So it would be mandatory that they ride the bus. So they would have to meet at the high school and get on the buses from there.
And even when we were at M.O. Campbell this last year, because of the weather, we had a police escort with the students who chose to ride the bus, so we would do that again.
And we do know that school districts that use NRG, it is mandatory that their students ride the buses. At least that's what they've been doing for the last year or two, just to make sure, because they had so many issues. If you follow the news and you saw in Fort Bend ISD how they didn't require for students to ride the bus because the graduation venue was in Fort Bend ISD, but they couldn't get there. They couldn't get there.
It made national news.
Traffic, running miles down the road.
I just think about the safety of our students, especially teenage drivers, having to try to rush to get there by 1 o'clock. That just concerns me.
Construction that's
Yeah,
over there at
so-
288 and 610, it's always a nightmare.
I'd rather just have a trail of buses headed down there.
And so potentially offsetting some of the costs, if we're able to share the venue for that day with another high school that may arise at some point, would obviously drop the cost of the rental. Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be some pieces that are negotiated upon too as well. So there's different services that they offer that we can say yay or nay that we'd like to take more of. But so far, this is where we're at.
And when they would bring the official proposal, they've asked for a week. Is that what they've asked for? Before they submit.
Yes, they need a couple days.
They've asked for a couple days in order to submit the proposal. But
So that means if we have to be at 1 o'clock, what time I have to leave church?
12.
His first son.
Right at 12.
No, you.
Go to early church.
Communion, you get
Just-
your communion, then you.
Just raise a finger, they'll excuse you, they'll let you out.
Tell Pastor to reorganize and start earlier.
Just that day. Right. I'll have some bread.
You know, we thought you don't do that. You know.
Yes, ma'am. Graduation.
Yeah, and then not just that, but it's the weather factor also, which we ran into last year.
Oh, yeah.
Having to move it, I mean, it was a miracle how well it went. It's not a miracle, I mean, that's what I expect from everybody here.
3 days of planning. 3 days of planning.
It executed very, very well, but, I know, parents had parties planned for that evening, Saturday night, and so on, and how your child has done.
I know that it's a lot, but I go back to the thing that pains me the most is that our families are not able to have a good amount of people come to graduation. And y'all, that's tough. We're one high school district. It's a big deal when our babies graduate. It could almost be considered a community event, because these children, them. And people in the community want to be there. So it's hard every year when you're looking at students and you're saying you have 8 tickets. And they're saying that my household will take up 5. And so I can't even invite all of my grandparents or my aunts or, so. And then when I see that other schools in our area, they're able to see bring their families out, 13, 14, 15 people. That's hard, that's hard to hear and see. Our kids deserve that too.
I wondered how many would actually, obviously it's convenient when it's here because we're in the district, so, to have 15 people come out, but then going to NRG, how many will realistically go? But I think for the M.O. Campbell, they traveled out there, no problem. They went out in numbers.
No, but we did,
Oh,
our
yeah.
kids graduated.
Yeah, it was 10.
It was 10.
Yeah.
We always did like this year.
No, it's actually. We gave out.
I think
So I
we were
think
gonna
they'll go.
give 10 and we had to scale back to
They'll
8.
return, they'll carpool.
They'll carpool.
Trunk and back seat. Under the windows there, like we used to
We
travel
didn't
when
give
I
them
was a kid.
the.
Yeah, the back of the trunk, and we used to ride everywhere.
The only other thing that I do want to mention is these dates fill up quick. It's very competitive, as you see, to get into NRG, and we had to take a Sunday date, right? And we didn't want to get too far beyond that because maybe people will do their graduation parties on Friday and Saturday and then come to graduation on Sunday, however they choose to do it. But when we won't go that far. We won't interfere with your wedding date.
No, that's.
Oh, that's your birthday, yeah.
National holiday.
But all that to say, when the contract comes in, they're gonna give very tight timelines in order to secure the venue. So if there are any concerns, we really do want to hear them because when that contract comes, we're gonna have to move forward in order to secure that date and stop another school district from getting it.
Well, it was gonna come up to this anyway, eventually, so,
The only other facility big enough that would cost us the Berry Center, then we're driving
too far.
too far,
Right.
that's way out.
I mean, the pay for parking, what's $23 you pay to go to the rodeo, to a concert, so what's paying $23 to go see your child graduate?
And we'll be sure to communicate that to our family so that they know well ahead of time, right?
So then the consensus, we want to secure that date from as quick as we can, and then work on the contract.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you. That is all for our reports and discussion.
Oh, that was all. Okay, we already talked about calendar. Okay.
Oh, sorry, early.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to new business, item A. Consider no middle school carpet replacement.
Mr. President, it's recommended the Sheldon ISD Board of Trustees ratify the contract with Millennium Project Solutions, a River of Choice Partners Cooperative for carpet replacement at Knoll Middle School, and in an amount not to exceed $124,092.85 with the topic to be attached to the cover part of the.
Motion by Ms. Sargent,
Second.
Ms. Martinez.
Is this the standard carpet going already in there? It's not the new red carpet.
No, it's not the new red carpet. The new red carpet is in the new wing. This is actually two different, or three.
Yeah, I have a picture.
So one is gray with some red stripes through it. We were not able to get that for all of the carpet. They had 16 rolls of it left from another project. And it was a higher price point, and it would have been a 6 to 8 week lead time for us to do that throughout. So we went with a more neutral carpet in the lower classrooms, the common areas, and the choir and theater rooms. And Dr. Said has a photograph of.
That red carpet is nice.
The red carpet is nice, but this is still, it's just a nice carpet.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's looking great to me.
On page 26 of the contract where it's, the carpet's brand new, named specific fiber ad, says 1 square yard, and it comes out to 71.78. Everything else calculates out, I mean, the 45, you said it's a higher end carpet because they have it in stock as a surplus. So we're getting it for $46 a square foot, $45.93. What's that 71.78? That's
Which one are you on?
on page 26.
Okay, hold on.
On the first quote.
So yours says page 26. Can you, I look over your shoulder to see which
Yeah,
page I have?
absolutely. Come over my shoulder right here.
Okay, so that is your RS Means quote for this one, is that right? And so
Yeah.
this is off of our choice partnership. So they had to send this, then we sent it to Sarah. Now there's two different quotes.
Yeah, so I want on page 52.
Let's see.
So so the 45.93 square foot, all that calculated, that, but then you got this one line item here for 71, has a quantity of 970, price of 970, quantity of 1. Okay.
1 square yard.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check where
Okay.
we got 1 square yard of carpet
yeah, and then a price of 970
for $970.
and equal out to 71.78.
But we did find something on here just to let the board know that, you know, the price that's on here was the price of the contract, may not be the price of the invoice.
That is correct.
Dr. Said and, I met,
Using the choice partner.
Yeah.
They show us what it would have been compared to, what they're actually paying for us.
So it should be low. Okay.
yes, it will because,
Yeah, you'll just identify that item there.
yeah, there's, they put down like removal of the adhesive,
Yeah.
but we had already had some of that done by Blackman Mooring.
Okay.
So it was not as expensive as what the quote is, but they have to give us all those prices up front.
Okay. Okay, any more comments, questions? All right, all those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. All right, thanks for that. Consider surplus real estate.
We can do that in closed session.
Okay, we're, with the board's approval, we'll table that until after closed session. Okay. Moving on, item C, revised calendar.
Mr. President, it is recommended that the revised 2024-2025 instructional calendar be approved as submitted, but the copy to be attached to the consent agenda.
Motion by Ms. Martinez, second by Ms. Hutchins. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to board information, if you wish to discuss any of these items, please. Item 5A, I'm sorry. Item 6A, consider HCS Incorporated Consultants for Construction Material Testing, CMT, for the CE King 9th and 10th grade campus. 6B, solid border Palo Alto firewall, EOL replacement. Item 6C, solid border Palo Alto disaster recovery, DR firewall. Item 6D, district-wide Chromebook rotation. Chromebooks. Okay. Comments, questions, any of those items? I guess we're 2 years into the Chromebooks this morning. No Apple, no iPads. Still using green? Okay. All right, moving on, comments from the public. We have one comment from the public. Darius Provost Evans. Under, excuse me, under Open Records Act, the board cannot respond to items or comments that are not covered on the agenda, therefore board response will not be made tonight. Please note that any complaints or concerns about specific employees of the district's grievance procedures. In your comments, refrain from using an individual's name, title, position. If you're voicing a concern or complaint, your presentation should not exceed 5 minutes. Delegation of more than 5 persons should not exceed 3 minutes per speaker. Thank you for taking your time to share with us. In such a manner will make our comment section productive and within the constraints of policy and statute. Time is 7:05, 7:55.
I can start. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Darius Provost Evans, and I am here to come in the capacity of a parent that's having some issues with what's going on in our school district. So, last time I came here, I thank you for your leadership, your commitment to service, and I stick to that. And I do know that everyone works very hard to make our school district great. But it is a problem with drugs and nicotine in our schools that cannot be ignored. As a parent, I'm getting a little tired of having to flip my kid's room upside down and finding 4 vapes that they're telling me are coming from middle school bathrooms and high school bathrooms. It is an issue that I know other parents in the community have already came forward and talked about, and it still is a huge concern. There are solutions for this problem. It's just a matter of a willingness to take it on. I know that other schools have installed vape sensors that can detect nicotine, that can also detect THC, and whether it's Delta 8, Delta 9, or just CBD, they are effective at addressing this problem. I am passionate about this issue because I'm passionate about my kids. I got foster kids. They're traumatized. You want to talk about who are the people that are most likely to go into drug habits? Those are going to be people that are dealing with trauma. And one thing I'm going to do is protect my kids. And one thing I'm not going to allow is a system in place that'll allow them to become drug addicts or addicted to drugs or any other substance that can harm them and keep them from getting a positive and long-lasting future. So as a parent, understand I'm passionate, but I'm also a little upset because these are the rooms that I'm having to flip. The rooms that I helped them put together when they moved into my home, when they were placed as foster kids under my care. And here I am putting them in a school district, and they're coming home with babies. I found another one this morning. I found 3 2 weeks ago. And now I'm having kids being removed from my home because we are having a long-standing issue with vape for the kids. I think that our education system can do a much better job at addressing this. And I'm passionate about this. I'm not going nowhere when it comes to this issue, and I'm going to stay on top of this issue because these are my kids. These are the ones that I am responsible for, making sure that they're not going into a direction that causes more harm than good. There are other school districts that have implemented this, and it has been successful. There are some flaws. Don't get me wrong. I have looked into the data. I have done the research. There are some flaws. But making it easy, and then when I call principals and they tell me, well, if there's not a market for it, there wouldn't be a problem, that is a concern. It's a lack of leadership. It's a lack of commitment to address the problem. And as parents, and believe me, there are many parents, you're looking at one, but it can easily be a room full of parents talking about the same problem. We're getting vapes in our home, places that are supposed to be safe places for our kids. We're finding vapes in pillowcases. We're finding vapes in the middle of shoes. We're finding vapes in equipment that they keep their band instruments in. And we know all too well the consequences of our kids getting caught with vapes. They go straight to DAEP. They just passed that law. I don't want my kids in DAEP, and I know a lot of parents don't want their kids in DAEP. That is not where you get an education. That is not where you grow and thrive and start to work on a career. So I'm asking for the board's assistance on this because, again, I am passionate about this because my kids are number one, and I'm not going to stop fighting for my kids. Your leadership is valuable. It is influential. Your commitment matters. And if you commit to this, I know we can get this done as a community, and the parents will be more than thankful for this. But if it continues to be an issue, we're going to see our communities suffer. We're going to start to see more drug flow into neighborhoods, more kids getting caught up on drugs, and then before you know it, we got kids selling drugs to other kids. Whether the vape is empty or not, it's important that we don't get them back into our neighborhoods, into our homes, that's causing more destruction and problems in the home. Because now I have to go have a conversation with my kids about the importance of not doing drugs, whether it's nicotine or THC or CBD, whatever false idea they have about it, we're not doing it. And I understand that you're getting it from school. I understand that you're getting peer pressured. I understand that your teachers are having conversations with you about it, and they're making it seem like it's okay to do, because I've had that conversation as well and heard that too. It's a culture that we have to change, but more importantly, we got to put something in place. Because flipping over their rooms every 2 weeks, I'm getting tired of it. My solution, of course, is installation of vape sensors, but I'm pretty sure there's many other things that the board can consider. And I know my time is almost up, but I also wanted to thank the communications department for getting back with me about the voter registration plan that is in place for the district. I got to say I'm impressed because as someone who went to Channelview High School, I never got a voter registration card. And I know many other people I graduated with who still don't vote to this day because the school district didn't do a basic thing like handing me a voter registration card. So I want to say the district is on top of that, and I feel confident in their ability to do it. But vapes, drugs, nicotine in our school, it is a problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your.
Okay, moving on to closed session, adjournment closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, section 551072, to discuss purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, 551074, for the purpose of lease, considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer employee to hear complaints or charges against a public officer employee, 551076, for considering the deployment of specific occasions for or implementation of security personnel devices at 801. So we put the,
We see eye to eye, but.
It's right in that. Hallelujah.
I know.
And cookies.
And cookies.
What a snack.
And cookies.
That's a snack. Yeah.
Deal.
Of course.
Fire, hot. Deal is now.
Call me out.
If you break the cookies up in the temple, boy, you got.
Go give me another bag and I'm gonna do that. Oh,
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne, did you talk to them? Why, thank you. You all are sharp. Thank you.
Oh, they were ready? Oh, yes. All right. We were off, right?
Yeah, we are.
We was only out here. Okay. I usually try to ask before you leave, and I forgot.
Usually it was all.
Oh, I did. I inquired.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna reconvene open session at 9:08. And yes, we're gonna move to item 5B, the new business.
Mr. President, it's recommended that the Board of Trustees approve resolution declaring certain real estate holdings of Sheldon Independent School District as surplus and no longer necessary for the operation of the school district, but this property to be attached to income credit.
Got a motion by Ms. Martinez, second by Ms. Palmer. Comments, questions? All those in favor? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 11, other necessary business. Item A, Gulf Coast Area Association of School Boards meeting on September 11th at 6:30 p.m.
You can put it down, say it.
Yeah, every.
Yeah, you can put it down.
Yes. Yes, please.
Me also, Sandy,
Okay.
please. Okay.
We'll let Angela and Deborah, there.
Okay, item 11B, board meeting, September 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. 11C, TASB Convention, September 27th to 29th, 2024 in San Antonio. And I think McCall has the updated list, so we'll be attending that. Okay, item 12, board suggestion recommendation, future organizational information updates.
Update on the library.
Yes, that'll be September 17th at the board meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item 13, suggest future agenda items. If not, we'll adjourn at 9:10. Well, before you finish 9:11.
School board, please be sure to take a copy of the strategic plan and review it.